Happy Thursday. This is really odd. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Live from Rabs from inside Rabs Country Lanes. I am appearing today alone inside Studio 710. Naz is missing today. She might pop in. She says that she has an appointment. You know, I think we might have talked about this at some point before, but you know when you have cable service and you make an appointment or a delivery and they say we're going to come between a window of 9 and 12 or 12 and 2 or 2 and 10. You just never know when they're going to arrive. And I think that's what happened to her today. She ordered some equipment. She's got a delivery coming. And of course, would the delivery company even know what day that she's busy and has better things to do, like sitting here on set of Live from Rabs. So Naz, how are you? Great, thank you. Hope you had a wonderful day. Hello, everybody. So instead, I enlisted my co-host here, Norm Duke. Norm is okay. He's very still. Professional bowler Norm Duke. Because today we are also going to spin a wheel to determine a winner from our Watch and Win contest that we ran last week while we had our friends Gary Hulsenberg and Blair Blumenscheid from Storm Bowling, the Morning Bolt, with us last week. So at some point in the show today, we'll spin the wheel for Storm Proton Physics. This is really weird being here alone. I don't know how people do this. I can't even talk to anybody, but we do have an awesome guest with us today who's been with us before. Good afternoon, Ronnie. And the last time this guest was with us, his students blew up our comments and blew up our page. We couldn't even keep up, but which was awesome because it showed the love for this young man who's a Principal Ryan Melis. So he's going to talk to us today, a little bit of an update where we've been in the last, has it been 4 months now, up and running and not really sure where our education system is these days. Ro, you make a very good point. Good morning, Ro. Good afternoon, Ro. Yeah, my co-host is very courteous, never interrupts, which could be a good thing. Could be a good thing. Never get interrupted. Nobody has anything to say. We can't argue about anything today. It's been a rough week. We've argued a lot of many different things, but it's all good. That's what makes us who we are. So welcome to the party. You guys are too quiet. I know you're all sitting there, but nobody wants to say good afternoon, which is cool. I'll just sit here and just wait. So here, I actually left my notes inside because I wanted to talk about a couple things before. So we're still here, open till 10 p.m. every night. No feedback. You're right, Ro. You're very, very right. We are still subject to a 10 p.m. curfew, which we believe is in place, through Sunday, which we do believe will be extended past Sunday. So we still have no indoor dining here in New York City. Curfew at 10. Today we're posting an updated league schedule that takes us through the next few weeks. So for those league bowlers that are watching, for those that bowl on any other day but Friday and Sunday, we've been operating with an alternate league schedule. And so we're going to update that later today on our website. So check it out. I think you guys have an idea of when you're bowling by now with this every other week schedule. So that's the latest that we have, assuming that this upcoming week, we're going to continue with this alternating schedule since we have to close at 10 p.m. Hello, everybody. See, much better. See, you guys just sit there and you listen. You might not even be watching. You probably just listen. And I'm almost afraid of what comes next. But I am going to bring in our guest today, Principal Ryan Melis, New Ventures Charter School. Welcome back to the party, Ryan.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you, Norm, for having us.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he?
Yeah, as much as I miss Naz, I don't know. Norm, there's a glow about him,
Yeah, it's actually a pencil point art. So yeah, he's great. Norm was on the show with us early on in the season, and he really is awesome. So for any bowling fans out there, go back and check out when he was on with us. he's a funny guy. He's been here before. He'll be back. We actually worked out some dates. Hopefully we can stick with them as things are trucking along. So, Ryan, how are you? First of all,
I'm good. How are you?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all hanging in there. And Happy New Year goes out to you, your family, and Naz, and the whole family at Rab's Country Lane. So we hope that 2021 is off to a good start for you.
Yeah, I want to hope that 2021 starts something fresh and new, and sadly not so much this week, but I think hopefully we can get past all of this that's happening for the better, because 2021 truly needs to be a better year. Everybody keeps saying 2021 is going to be the best or better than the last, which it's got no competition.
Yes, that is true.
But not the way it started. So hopefully like I said, we can just get past this and we'll be all right.
Few days it's been all right, but definitely last night was very upsetting, I think, for the entire country.
Without a doubt. Nobody wants that. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. So you were here with us just before? No, were you guys in session when you came on the show with us?
Yes, yeah, we were in session. However,
just starting.
We just started, through the pandemic. We just started our remote learning program.
And so the 2020 school year ended, and now we started a new school year. How is that transition for you? So we ended a school year that was expected to be, who knew? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and then boom. You don't really get to finish the year as you wanted to, but you now have a leg up to start a new school year. So what was that like for you guys?
Yeah, it was interesting, because let me kind of rewind back to, when we first started with the remote learning, which was in March of 2020. It was very interesting to try to train some of the staff to what this remote learning looked like, really get into some of the ins and outs of how students are going to be learning, how we're going to be updating, our curriculums to adjust to what remote learning is. And we didn't know for how long. We thought sometimes that this was going to be maybe a few weeks, maybe a month, a couple months. I mean, we're going on to about 10 months now of remote learning. And just my heart goes out to the staff, to the students, to the families. We all want to be back in the school building. However, we know as a priority, we want to make sure that we're opening up safely for all of our students and our staff. Our students miss us, and we miss them just as much and even more. So it's been a difficult transition, but it's been, at least we're open in some capacity where we're still providing, rigorous instruction, giving the students what they need. And not only academically, Frank, because let me add, our students right now in a pandemic, they need more than just Algebra 1, Algebra 2, right? They need the social emotional supports. They need to know that without having sports, without being able to hang out with their friends, without being able to go to a restaurant today, nobody knew this was what our 16, 17-year-old students were going to be growing up in through high school. And, in their final days of graduating, what graduation is going to look like. So they need us more than just as their teachers on the academic standpoint. They need us to really rely on for those social emotional supports. So that's what I talk to the teachers and the staff about are, listen, for a few minutes of the day, just put academics aside, ask our students, how are you doing? Let's teach them coping strategies. Let's teach them stress relievers. Let's teach them how to survive in a pandemic versus worrying about, well, are they going to be a little behind academically when they graduate? Let's teach them some of those soft skills so that when they graduate, they're able to cope with some of these life stressors that who knew COVID-19 was going to be throwing at us, a year ago today.
You a lot of awesome points there, because you talk about the socialization. I look at my niece and nephew who are very young, and one of the challenges just before the school year was ending, hey, we're shutting down virtual learning, and at their age, these kids want to be out and playing, and so you listen to them. Yeah, they got used to the virtual learning, but it wasn't the same. They just want the interaction. So at any age, it really is important. So I felt bad for the seniors of 2020. I feel, and sorry, boys and girls, but I feel really bad for the seniors of 2021 because at least the seniors of 2020 got to see their friends, have a few months together, and then of course life was lifted in a whole different change. And I think we all felt bad for them. But here we are, 2021. These kids haven't had the opportunity to truly interact. Now, in some cases, some schools are open, some schools aren't. They were open, closed, never open. It's a mess. And so for some of the right reasons, right? And what the cool thing, you guys do it very differently. So your audience is very different. Your population comes to you for a different reason, but at the same time, they need all of that. They come for you. Life skills, right? Life skills is a big piece of what you provide. And so Jennifer's got 2 young daughters, and yeah, they forgot to be around people. Is that not being in school, or is that your fault?
You know what?
That's a joke.
and Frank, I was just reading that comment. Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing that. You're right. And it's not just your 2 young kids. It's high school students. It's college students. It's adults at every level. This is the norm. Being in conversations through Google Meets or Zoom. This is the new norm. So Frank, how we adjusted that to our curriculum at New Ventures, you got to take lemons and make lemonade. So how did we adjust our curriculum? Well, we're teaching students now, how do we interview for a job opportunity through Google Meets and through remote meetings? That looks so different. And there's other challenges and barriers, to an interview through a computer screen than actually sitting face to face and talking with somebody. So I just wanted to kind of add that. Thank you, Jen, for sharing that.
Yeah, you talk about the job interview. I've been involved in our organizations, and we've been doing these interviews for volunteer positions. And typically they're in-person meetings. I'm a big fan of meeting people in person. It's part of the process to know whether or not somebody's a good fit for the job. The handshake is a big thing. We had our friends Chad and Danielle Reyes on the show a while back, and we talked about, hey, how do we reinvent the handshake? Because the handshake tells us so much about someone than anything. So how do we take that interaction and totally change it in this environment? And so, yeah, it is difficult. And so, and the other part of that too, I can interview and ask you a bunch of questions, but you're so differently prepared when you're sitting at home nice and comfortable, or whatever venue you are in. I'm not going to ask you if you have pants on, because I hope you have pants on. But when you're doing virtual learning, or you're in this, but it's so true, you're comfortable, right?
Yeah, very comfortable. It is a totally different, we have an internship program, as on Fridays. School looks a little different for our students. They actually go to one of the 77 partnerships on Staten Island, and I'm talking about pre-COVID. One of the 77 partnerships on Staten Island that we've created, and our students gain real-world experience by interning in that location, whether it be at Rab's Country Lanes, whether it be at the 4 auto body shops on Staten Island, one of the 12 elected officials' offices. So this is something that they can't gain experience from in a classroom setting. Having this pandemic has kind of closed that opportunity for a lot of students, because we can't get into a lot of these locations to intern and gain that real world experience. What do some of the other schools, how do they earn that government credit that students need to graduate? Well, a lot of times, like I say, it's through a textbook, right? Government 101 or Intro to Law, and read chapters 1 and 2, answer the questions, and that's how they learn. That's not real world learning. So our students before this pandemic really had that opportunity to gain that experience in these government offices, work one-on-one, hand in hand with the elected official, and earn that government credit, but also build up that professional resume. So when they graduated, when they applied to college or a job, that experience really put them over the edge versus the other thousands of New York graduates. So having this pandemic kind of set us back a little bit, but we're still keeping, as you are, we're still keeping our professional host with our internship and our field work to try to gain that experience as best as possible through this remote learning. So
that's awesome. So do you think that moving forward, and I know you guys are looking forward to getting the kids back in person, even in the field work, but Do you see this medium still continuing as part of what you guys offer at New Ventures?
This medium being remote learning?
Yeah.
Right now, yes, because no matter what the situation is, as a principal, my number one priority is student safety. And, you know, as long as we can continue providing this real world engaging instruction, this is what we're going to be doing, you know, for the time being. However, don't get me wrong, you know, I lose sleep over when the next time I'm going to be able to see my students is. Our staff, and I know a lot of them are watching, I know I speak for all of them where we can't wait for the day where we open our doors, are able to, you know, give our crazy handshakes with our students, say hello to them, visit them in their classrooms. And I know for a fact, a lot of students and parents are reaching out to me saying, listen, my child's just struggling right now. You know, remote learning, it's not as intimate, it's not as personal as going into a classroom, really sitting one-on-one with the student and helping them out academically, social, emotionally, professionally. That's something I think that we all miss. This as a medium, I think it's put a Band-Aid on something that really needs surgery.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And you just don't know, right? And so you want to, and Brian makes a great point. As young professionals, we should truly, we should truly be ready to jump into this online world and ready and just do it. But it's just not the same. And so I hate to knock it. At the same time, it's still providing the educational opportunity. We're doing the best that we can. But yeah, you want to embrace it. We've always been saying this. Do we need to meet in person? Do we need to do this? We've got this digital world, this virtual world. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I know Frank is zoomed out, and I'm sure everybody else is. So how do you take the mix? How do you do both without having to travel and still use this to your advantage? And I think it makes it difficult, especially in education. I watch my niece and nephew, and lunchtimes at 10:15, I think, or they take a break for lunch at 10:15. My sister-in-law is home cooking lunch at 10:15 for them. Like they just had breakfast, and then you know they're engaged, but they're not engaged. And you're working with teenagers, so it's a little bit different. And so, are we truly engaged while we're sitting here in front of my computer, whether I have the camera on or off?
Yeah. So you bring up a good point, Frank, and this is something that we as a staff at New Ventures had to adjust to, right? What happens during these class meets via, Zoom or Google Meets? Well, 9 times out of 10, the students will sign on, right? Cameras will go off. And how do we know that the student is fully engaged, right? It's kind of the scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? Where you're calling Bueller. So, how do you know that they're fully engaged? And again, we had to learn there are other ways for students to participate through chat, through submission of work. There's other ways that we can really assess if the students are mastering the standards or not to earn those credits. But like I said before, we are more concerned with, how they are doing through this pandemic, socially, emotionally. Did they lose a loved one during COVID-19? And we want to be able, through our teachers and our counseling supports and our entire staff, we want to be able to be there for them as their second family. A lot of times I tell them, there's a lot of things that you may not want to tell your parents, especially during these tough times. Some students are going through depression, mental illnesses. A lot of times talking to parents might be harder or might be easier said than done. It might be actually harder to do. So our students really rely on us to be their, second level of supports. And that's very important. And, I go back to that Bueller comment where students are shutting off their cameras. How do we assess the engagement? Teachers were coming to me. I don't know what to do. Students are turning off their cameras. They're not participating. These are things, what? Some students are home and may not want to be able to, share where they're actually in class remotely. There's things going on in the background where students might not be able to have their cameras on. They're taking care of loved ones. Some of the students are parents of their own, so they have other responsibilities. The thing I'm trying to get at, Frank, is most importantly, we need to be flexible as professionals and as a school environment. We need to be flexible and understanding that students have other things going on in their life and they're surviving a pandemic. Let's stop saying that they're behind in their academics. Let's start supporting them in what they need in order to survive this pandemic and really move on to their post-secondary options and plan ahead for their futures, which hopefully is brighter than what it is today.
That's why we love you. That's why we love Principal Melis. It's so true though, because everybody's, and I didn't want this to turn negative, because I don't really think it is. You can't knock it. You have to embrace what we have. It is what it is at this point, right? But you make a really valid point that something that was maybe not truly understood in the beginning of all this, where children weren't. We talked about having just food available at schools. To your point, we don't know what their home looks like. We don't know what environment they're living in. And so who's embarrassed, who doesn't want to share, who's for all the right reasons. And it makes it tough. And so people are very quick to judge when they hear these stories. But schools have always been open to make sure that children eat. We laugh about the snow day that doesn't exist anymore, but schools staying open to make sure a child has a meal. Many of us take that for granted, but too many kids don't have the opportunities that others have. So you have to take all of that into the equation. There are some pretty funny videos, though, of children being home from their Zoom classes. I've even seen one where grandma happens to be naked in the background. I mean, there's some crazy stuff happening. And so you wonder, you know what? Maybe you're right. Just keep those cameras off, kids.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's funny. Valerie, I love you too, and we all love you. Valerie, as my assistant, is just second to none. She's phenomenal. I know, Frank, you've spoken with her, and she's the point, for all the students. But it's funny when they say, well, how are we teaching them? They're going to go off to college behind, and so, this is territory that we've never been in. We've never entered COVID-19. We've never entered remote learning. Who knows? Maybe part of our program, I hope that this is going to better prepare us for, hopefully this never happens, but hopefully this time is going to better prepare us for, if there ever is a pandemic going on, if, a virus like COVID-19 ever does hit, hopefully we are better prepared. Not only in the school system, but as a society of the United States, hopefully we're better prepared to continue with, remote meetings. I hope for one day, don't get me wrong, I hope for one day we open up our doors and we have the in-person meetings, the interviews, businesses are as usual as they were before COVID-19. But listen, at least this is going to prepare us to be a little more flexible in our businesses, in our education, and preparing the students for whatever curveball may be thrown at us in the near future. So
talk about what you believe have been the best things that have come out of this for new ventures. And I think Naz and I talk about this often. And there are so many good things that happened as a result of being thrown into this world. And you're right, it may not be a virus, it could be anything, any emergency. That's that rainy day. We didn't know what the rainy day was going to be, and this happens to be the rainy day. So restaurants opened up outdoor dining that never had outdoor dining before. Is some of this ridiculous? Absolutely. But outside of this COVID world, we're all going to do a lot of those things. So as far as an educator, what did you guys really learn through this that's going to stick and really make the school and your students better than they were before?
So we've learned a lot, through this pandemic. I think we learned, again, how to prioritize. Every day is pajama day. Thank you, Tom. I think we've learned that. And, I think we've learned how to better support our students. When there are times where we can't get in touch with them, when there are times where, they may be absent, or other things that, other challenges that may arise in their home life. I think communicating with our students and our families, we understand that if they're not coming to school, there are other ways, that we can communicate. So a lot of the meetings, pretty much all the meetings right now, are via Zoom, via Google Meets. That's how we're communicating. That's how we're keeping in touch with the students. We're calling home. We have emergency lines where we're texting the student. We know, and as much as I do, what doesn't come out of their hands, whether they're home or at school or it's their cell phones, right? So, we have other lines of communication with the students. What we've also learned, and I'll reiterate it time and time again, students need more than just their 44 credits in 5 regions. Students need us to be understanding. Students need counselors, not just for mandated counseling hours, but counselors that they can rely on for more social supports. Teachers they can rely on for social supports, principals, assistant principals. I have to be honest with you, when I pop into the classes, whether it be in person or whether it be by Google Meets or remote learning, students don't tense up when they come in because how goofy I am. That I try to keep it light. I try to keep it comfortable with the kids. So the students really look forward to coming to school. This is not I have to go to school. When students come into New Ventures, they say, I want to go to school. And that is more, I got to say, that's more rewarding than anything students can ever tell me.
Yeah, I got to witness that firsthand a couple of times. So you guys have been awesome and invite others into the classroom. And so I had the opportunity to be in Tom's class. And we started the class talking about you and moving, and we're laughing. And the kids are like, really? Are we just going to sit here and listen to these people banter as everybody else is coming in the class? But you know what? There's part of that humanizes you. And so, I think that's so important. You don't want children of any age, kids, young adults, to fear their teacher, their principal, even the dean. The dean, to an extent, should be feared. If the dean's coming after you, the dean's coming after you. But at the same point, I know I had the best relationships with my assistant principals and the deans. Now, I wasn't to an extent, it really wasn't a problem child, but you develop these relationships as part of that. And you guys really do something special that others don't. So kudos to you, and not only making your students feel comfortable, but your teachers, and a lot of them are younger, who have been given the opportunity to come right out of school and go and jump right into something and do what they can to give to their students. And so that's awesome too.
So and you bring up the word dean, we started this, when we started the school, we didn't believe that the school needed a dean. Okay. We were a smaller program. We do have a principal, but we have a lot of teachers. But I truly believe that the teacher assistants are the deans of their own classrooms. We have such engaging instruction. As you know, our staff are second to none. We have the best teachers, not only on the island, but in New York State. These teachers keep the students so engaged. And to be honest, that's where a lot of the discipline happens, or lack of discipline, I should say, happens when the students aren't engaged. When the students are just bored out of their minds, being in another English or another algebra class or a history class. So, and I could tell you this, we have less incidents, without a dean, because we're able to take care of some of those, discipline incidents that may occur. But they're very few and far between, because from day one, it's the trust that the students have within the teacher, where they're not going to misbehave. They're going to be engaged because they know that we're promoting that engaging atmosphere and academic studies. So it's really been very successful not having a dean, and making sure that, the teachers are teaching in the classroom, supporting the students. And when they do have feelings, or they have, anger that they want to reach out and talk to somebody about it, they know not only the teachers, but the counselors, the principal, our assistant principal, Mr. Pompo, who's amazing. They know that we're available every second for them to talk to.
That means more, I think, to anyone than anything, right? Having the opportunity to have someone available to them as much as possible, especially as you talked about, and Adina they need our support now more than ever, and that's so true. And it's different because back to the comment you made before, we really don't know what happens in their households, and so are they dealing with a loved one that has been sick, has not? You just don't know. And so this is what you need. This is the time that everybody needs each other. And it's tough when you can't be in person, right? Everybody wants to hug each other. You guys have your secret handshakes. Everybody wants to hug, and it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, look at this. Your staff just loves you and your team. So now we're heroes.
They are, Frank, and I want to add, Mr. Fox, Mr. Pompo. It's something, and again, we do have a couple of seats open. So if there's anybody that's, on this call, we are a transfer high school. Right now we're remote, but our home base is right out of the teleport. Any student that may be in quotations behind or not on track to graduate, please, I'll leave my information. You could also go on our school website at newventurescharter.org. And apply to the school. We are accepting students throughout the year. You don't have to wait for June or for September for the new year. This is a staff that we really take time to first and foremost get to know the students and build that relationship. This is something that students never had an experience with. I ask the students all the time, how many times have you seen your principal? How many times have you seen your counselor? And within 3 or 4 years of high school, they could probably count on one hand. I am never going to be, the principal that will be in the office. Yes, I'm bogged down with work. Don't get me wrong, as we all are. But I want to make sure that a priority is making sure I'm in those classrooms, making sure that our assistant principal, our counselors are in the classrooms to provide our students with the support that they need, even beyond those credits, like I said before. But that's really the school, the environment that we've built for now 6 years, Frank. And it's been something very special, something that the students have never been able to experience. And within these 6 years, I just want to add, there's actually only 2 transfer high schools on Staten Island. I think there's 180 identified transfer high schools in all of New York State. New Ventures, with the support of our partners, community partners, with the support of our wonderful staff, our students, New Ventures ranks as the #1 performing transfer high school in all of New York State. So I think that's a kudos to everybody on this call who supported us from day one. Thank you, Rabs, for sharing that link. And I just appreciate, everything that you've done, Frank. And I know Norm has done a lot, and Naz. So thank you to everybody. But Frank, as you know, I could go on and on, so I'm going to stop talking.
No, it's good. It's good. So, yeah, the support from your team has been great. And so they're shouting out to each other for those that are listening and not really paying attention to the comments, but there are comments here, and the support system is great. So what do you see as your largest challenge going from this current environment to now, I hate to say normal, but what education should be in your eyes? So we're now getting comfortable a year later. We're still sitting at home in our pajamas, virtual learning, and we're going to have to push forward to get back into back to business, back in school. What do you think is going to be the largest challenge for you at New Ventures?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think the comfortability, that students have. Listen, don't get me wrong. 100% of our students, do not, are not saying remote learning fits better or fits worse. So I think, the remote learning that works for some of the students who may have to take care of family members at home, hopefully not, but maybe sick family members, that are at home, who have to take care of their grandparents or their aunts and uncles or their cousins, their younger siblings who are also in elementary school who are doing remote learning. They're able to kind of be there for them. When you're in the school building and when we transfer back in, they may not be available to run out of the school, go home, support their younger siblings, support their parents. So it has worked for some. And again, I repeat, some of the students who have children of their own, they're also home right now. Sometimes they're on the computer in their classroom. Sometimes they're taking care of their children. So I think it's beneficial for some and not so beneficial for others. So what I would like to see, Frank, is for there to be an option, moving forward. Because again, it's not a one size fits all. Before, the norm, like we say in quotations, it was, we're going to go into the building. It's going to be school for our school, about 12 to 7, but for another traditional school, about 8 to 3. And you were in that building for those hours, going from one classroom to another. Maybe that's not the norm moving forward. Maybe there is an opportunity for flexibility and giving the students an option of remote learning, or coming into the building. As we miss our students so much, we understand that that may not be the best fit for 100% of them.
Yeah, especially for a school like yours, where you already provide flexibility, and so now what becomes next? And so strategically, it's very hard to plan because we don't even know when we're going to get that opportunity, right? So vaccine is available, we're pushing it out. We obviously are seeing challenges with just getting that to our frontline workers, and so who's next? How do we determine when we could just be back to some sort of human beings? We've been cooped up, locked up in different ways. The crazy part is that here at Rabs, this is truly the only entertainment you could have right now. You can't go to a movie theater. If you're going to go out to dine, you're going to sit out in the colds. I don't care whether there's heated tents or igloos, whatever it might be. It's still sitting outside. And I'm not knocking our restaurants because they've done a great job, but this just isn't what you want, what you expect from being humans and interacting. So to your point, you make a great point of who knows. So the students here have just heard that even when you go back to school in person, it's pajama day every day, right? That's what's going to happen.
So I'm all for that, but please don't. Oh, this is recording. Okay. And thank you, Adina. I know everybody, that's on this call, our students. So we moved our schedule. As you know, our students used to go to their fieldwork class roughly around 12 o'clock, around that time. And were dismissed from the teleport where they were transferred back at about 7:08. Being on the computer screen for 7-8 hours a day is just, it's way too much for anybody. What we did was we moved those hours a little later. Our students are now in remote learning Monday through Thursday from 3 to 7:08 p.m. So only a few hours each day, really providing them with not only the academics, but the social emotional supports as well. Our counselors are full-time. And then on Fridays, we move those internships where they used to be going into those locations. We move those to virtual internship opportunities. So some businesses who are open virtually, we're also having those opportunities where they can work with the virtual internships. Some of the businesses had to move to online fully. So those are opportunities that we want to capitalize on. But other opportunities as maybe independent study, for students to not maybe have a live class, but to really do similar to what an online college would be like. Those are some of the opportunities that we're capitalizing on for Fridays as well.
So, there's a lot there. There's a lot happening right there. What did you so I asked you about the challenges moving forward, and you're on it. And so strategically, you're going to figure that out and provide. Essentially, we're all going to be new. You're going to have new education, new schools as you move forward. Just and slightly different. But from the students' from your perspective, what have you seen from the students that's different today than it was before? Are they engaging more in a different way? Are these intern programs, okay, so they can't be in place. We're not in a virtual environment. So if I have an intern, I really need them here. There's nothing that they can really do virtually that we would want them to do. I mean, to give them the skill sets they need. So that's tough too, but there are places, like you said, that can use them. But what have you seen from the students through this time? Because I think they're the ones that are more resilient. Don't get me wrong. I think our educators are working harder today, and I want to get back to that. But I think the students truly are very resilient during this time.
Yes, the resiliency is definitely a key factor. I bring back, you ask about the engagement. It is very difficult. I can be up here feeding into, every student is fully engaged. It's just not the way it is. Students are, turning off their cameras. They have to step away, from the class to, like I said, take care of family members. It's very difficult to be engaged in this remote setting, and they're wishing to get back in. It's a different, I would say it's a much different challenge than what we've ever been accustomed to or comfortable with. To get them engaged, to get them, onto their classes. You had asked, what was the second part, Frank, of the question?
So the teachers then working, I was going to get to the point where the teachers have been working harder today than they were before in this new environment, right? So if the kids are resilient and you're seeing them engage in different ways, which I was asking about them. But then the second part of that really becomes the teachers. I'm just seeing, sitting at home, and I love watching these TikTok videos of these teachers who do all these crazy things with their students. But it's so true. You need to be so engaged, different. You have to engage differently. And so they are working harder than they were before than the classroom. And I'm sure you're seeing that too.
Yeah, it's very easy from, somebody who doesn't understand education to say, teachers are just home, they're providing the instruction. I got to be honest. I mean, the teachers at New Ventures, and I know even all around Staten Island, but I could especially speak to the teachers at New Ventures, in the drop of a dime, we had to learn how to engage students in remote learning, how to assess students in remote learning, how to offer classes and scheduling students for remote learning. So, and that had to happen instantaneously. I know Jennifer says it's real hard because these teachers don't know their students like they did last year. Yeah, I think the relationship and the rapport with our students definitely took a hit. And that's something that our school's predicated on, is the relationship and the rapport that we build with our students. Listen, when we interview students for our program, I can tell them it's going to be a different experience, that from the teachers to the TAs to the principal being crazy. I could tell them all I want about that. It's not going to be real for them until they step into the classroom and really start to experience that on their own. And unfortunately, students that started our program from March of 2020 up to this point, unfortunately haven't gotten that full experience. So what we've tried to do is change around how we're developing our curriculums. We have school families. So, every one of our students are adopted by one of the staff members. We call once or twice a month our family time. We might have lunch together. It's a little bit of a time for me to take off the principal hat and say, what are some of those challenges that you're seeing, even beyond school? Let's forget that. You might have relationship challenges. You might have family issues going on at home. You might, unfortunately, have a loss of a loved one. Let's take this time. Let's not go to third period geography. That can wait. Let's really take time to understand what some of those challenges are. And again, these school families are led by somebody who they already have a relationship and a rapport with. So it's not like they're talking to a stranger. We're already building that from day one with our students. And I think that's one of the most unique things about New Ventures in our program.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, wait, so Brian says the hardest balance of 2020. How do I be intentional without being a pest?
That's a good question. So maybe Norm can answer that.
No words of wisdom from the principal.
Listen, it's a struggle. I think it's a balance that we all question. How do I be intentional without being a pest? I want the students to learn. I'm just not getting what I'm expecting from them. Unfortunately, in these times, I don't want to say lower our expectations, because I never want to do that. We still want to be this program that's going to prepare the students for post-secondary success beyond high school. But let's turn the expectations from what used to be successful beyond high school to what is going to be successful today and tomorrow, and the world that we're living in today, right? I always say our math classes, I don't want them, to just learn from a textbook about x squared minus y cubed equals z. I never wanted them to learn that. I want them to learn real world mathematics. Yes, that align to the standards of New York State, but also that's going to be relevant to them in high school and beyond. Mortgage payments, how to balance a checkbook, right? Leasing versus financing a vehicle. These are the things that are going to make our students successful in the real world. And again, yes, I understand that we're going to be meeting those standards from New York State, but again, let's prepare them for what are the soft skills and what are the real skills that they're going to need in math, in ELA, right? Writing critiques, we learn about in our culinary arts program, writing about critiques, the history, we learn about different cuisines around the world. So I want to take what's relevant in the real world and really infuse that into our academics today, instead of just learning from a textbook that was written in 1993, which we know is not relevant to the real world today. No. You mean they're not writing new textbooks? Listen, our students one day can write the textbook to what's going to be relevant to their experience and what's going to be relevant to them, and hopefully what will help them not only today but in tomorrow's world.
Yeah, well, they're going to write their own story, and this is just the beginning of their story. And it's so, as a young adult in your programming, in the middle of 2020 of a pandemic, something that none of us have ever gone through before, unless you're over 100 years old, and so there are very few of them in the world. Amelia, this says the students' ability to adapt to these changes is inspiring. They're still achieving graduation success despite a global pandemic and the challenges they face. And as we said before, they certainly are resilient, and their resiliency is amazing. Keeps us motivated to do better. And so, right from the words of an educator, you hear that a lot. We have a lot of friends who are educators, and they say the same thing. It's been challenging, very challenging for them during this time, but flip the script. I'm the first one that's going to say, I got to put my feet in someone else's shoes to understand what's happening here. And you guys seem to do that really well, which is pretty cool. Hey, you guys have a culinary program?
We do. We have a culinary arts program. And
well, how's that working in the virtual space right now?
Oh, that is a great question. And I know Nick is laughing right now. But it's definitely been a challenge. You know, we brainstormed a lot, many hours on how this is going to work out. Before the pandemic, we were actually at the Above Catering Hall, right on South Avenue. And half of the students were in the kitchen, half of the students were learning the content that they need in order to graduate. So again, gaining that real world experience of cooking, preparing meals, but also learning about, you know, science, like the chemistry of cooking, right? Why does bread rise when we bake a loaf of bread? Different, you know, histories, different cuisines around the world. ELA, we're writing critiques about restaurants and infusing the standards from ELA into our culinary arts program. I spoke to Nick a lot as we're going into remote learning, and we felt just having the students cook at home might be a bigger liability than what we want to take on. We don't want to turn on, you know, Channel 7 and, you know, 7 houses from Staten Island are in flames because of New Ventures culinary student. But you know, but we are thinking of ways to how we can bring that real world cooking experience to our students, all while infusing the content. But right now, I think it's been a little more content than actually hands-on cooking. So we can't wait for the day where we're actually back in the kitchen, you know, of somebody with a little more insurance than what we have. We can't wait for that day to come.
That's awesome. And the great part is being right there in the teleport and having access to the Nicotra space, who have been great, who have this, I think this was this year, the first year of the Nicotra charter school program, that the school that they have there.
Yeah, so the Nicotra Early College School program is one of the sister programs to New Ventures, and what this larger umbrella of integration charter schools is. New Ventures is just one of the programs who caters to overage undercredited students. Students may not be on the right track towards a 4-year graduation path. You know, and we hold that responsibility to provide them with a smaller, more nurturing, hands-on, project-based learning experience. Again, like I said, through this last hour, through families, through counseling supports, through just a different type of real-world experience that any student has ever experienced before. The Nicotra Early College program is another program in ICS, as well as Lavelle Prep, who was our founding school, as well as Richmond Prep Charter School, which is a school that's opening this coming school year. Richmond Prep Charter School, we are also opening a school from New Ventures. We're expanding to younger students who may not have 16 credits yet, which is a requirement to get into the program. We're expanding that program this coming July. This coming September, we're also writing another charter to open up a transfer school in Yonkers, New York. And then the following school year, I know we have aspirations to open an additional New Ventures expansion in Westchester, New York. So I've been a little busy, but like I said before, my priority, the most important and exciting part of my day, is to see these students in class, whether it be virtually or hopefully in person. I just love going in, seeing the real world academics going on, being able to shake their hands, being able to have real conversation with these students.
So even in a pandemic, we could expand our businesses and reach more students, which I think is awesome. And so you've not only been busy with this, but you also have uplifted your life and moved during this time.
Yeah, so during the pandemic, we are opening up a few more schools, as well as having a 21-month-old at home, as well as moving from my previous location to now living in my parents' house for 2 weeks until I can close on my house in New Jersey, which would happen next Friday. So a little busy might be an understatement, Frank. You're right.
Yeah, crazy times, which is good. Listen, we can't stay, even with the pandemic in place, we can't stay still, which we've learned that through all of this. We cannot stay still, because if we do, I mean, it just, we were forced to stay still, but during that time, I mean, we just had to continue doing what we were doing. So cool stuff. And it looks like there was some breaking news for the New York Mets today. Dan Dunleavy shared it first, but Francisco Lindor is now a Met. Check that out. You're a Yankee fan. I know you don't care.
I know, and I think Nas is a Yankee fan, right? And you're a Met fan?
No, Naz is a Met fan.
Oh, okay. And you're a Met fan too?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Welcome to Live from Rabs.
At least I have Norm.
He's from Florida. I don't even know. I know he's a baseball fan. I don't know who his team is. Norm, tell us.
I'm a Yankee fan. You're right. So, it's good. Listen, it's good news for the Mets. I know they're under new ownership, and I'm sure the future is going to be bright for them as well. And at least maybe we'll go back to the year 2000 where we had two competitive New York teams in baseball.
That would be nice. We can totally continue to talk about baseball, but we can't sit here for forever. And that wouldn't be fair to Naz, because Naz loves baseball, and we've had some time. We've had a lot of baseball talk on the show. If you don't know, professional baseball player Nelson Figueroa has been on the show with us, who's now got the bowling bug again, who comes here often now to practice. He's got new bowling balls. It's just it's been fun for us. So not only are we talking bowling and education, but baseball and everything else in between. So it's been cool. Hey, before I let you go, I do want to share today's meme of the day, which of course is themed, but you have to read this, and I want you to read it in your best Maury voice.
Maury voice? Oh, I can't do more. I could do a lot of voices, but you said you finished the assignment on time. Google revision history determines that was a lie.
So these poor students, when you could just make up a story, which we don't believe anyway when they're submitting their work, now they can't lie at all.
Now they can't lie at all. Yes. You know what? My dog ate my homework. Has that come up a few times? And I think that's a little easier now, being that they're home. But but yeah, no, they definitely cannot lie about that. We've heard a lot of the stories, and I know you brought up before, you've seen the naked grandma in the background. We've seen a lot of things that I think we want to forget about. But Amelia, our assistant principal, brings up a great point. The students' resiliency in these unprecedented times have just been phenomenal. And we thank the students. We thank not only the students, but their families and their parents and their loved ones. And last but not least, the amazing, amazing second to none staff that we have at New Ventures. Thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to our partners, community partners. Frank, you as one of them. We really couldn't achieve success, not only through this pandemic, but within the last 6 years without you. So thank you very much. No, hey, thank you for allowing us to be a part of it a little bit. This would be your classroom if you guys were here doing your on-site fieldwork. So we are getting use of the space in a different way in the afternoons now. So we certainly miss seeing the students here, but I appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak with them. They are the two groups that I spoke to are kind of building a business. So they're getting the opportunity to build a business plan, and they had some great ideas. So I'm hoping that they're able to take that. To me
part of our mission has always been, and we do this through our foundation, to help groom the next generation of business leaders. And we do that through education, scholarships, and stuff. And so it's been fun just to give a little advice here and there. But thank you for that opportunity. And you guys really are pretty awesome. We need more. One, we need more Ryan Melises out there. But we need more of the educators that are doing what you're doing. We have a lot of friends, I said before, that are educators, and they do amazing work, especially now. And I am certainly looking forward to seeing what comes next, because you guys certainly are paving the way for a different, changing the way education truly is, especially here in New York City. And now you're expanding, which is really cool. So your founder is you have some pretty awesome people within this network that just have these visions to make this work. So my love fest could continue, but you guys are awesome. But I do want to share, if anybody's watching or listening today that didn't listen to before to learn really more about New Ventures, when Ryan was on with us last, you can go back to watch here on Facebook, but all of our shows are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so you can listen to us on the go. Go back to episode something and find Ryan's episode talking about education, and you'll hear the differences from then to today, where we are when we were in the height of a pandemic, finishing a school year, to hear and listening to him speak about where we are today. So if you're watching, drop a like, go check it out, subscribe, and you can hear more, certainly of us, but certainly Principal Melis. Rockstar. Hey, thanks for piping in today with us. You do have to do me one favor. You ready?
Yeah, okay.
You got to give me a number from 1 to 10.
Any number?
Yeah.
All right. Give you the number right now?
Yeah.
All right, 6. I thought it was like I can guess what you're thinking kind of thing.
No. I'm not, dude. No. Dude, I operate a bowling alley. I'm no medium. No, but I have a giveaway. And so you said number 6. I'm going to share a wheel. I'm going to shuffle it 6 times, and then we're going to have a winner. So cool. Hey, Ryan, you were awesome. Thanks for popping in with us today. I'm sorry. You're going to have to come back, and maybe you'll just get Naz and not me, or Naz and Norm.
That's perfectly fine. I miss Naz. Please send her our love from New Ventures and from myself. Wish her a happy new year, and I look forward to seeing you soon, Frank.
Same here. Or I could just put Orly in the studio with me, and that might not be a good thing for you. Well, you know what? I should have done that today if I knew enough time. I only found out before showtime that she wasn't going to be on with us today. So
definitely Orly. I think that's a step up from Norm.
Yeah, for sure. Ryan, good luck. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Ryan Melis, everyone. Thanks again to Ryan for sharing his wisdom, his staff and educators that have been in the chat with us, sharing their good wisdom as well. A challenging time for all of us in different ways. And you heard here not only challenges, but how we're going to come through and persevere. And so through education, you're hearing that. And so great stuff. Thanks, Ryan, for being with us today. Hey, before we go, 2 things. So one, I do want to share an announcement, so to speak, for those that are still watching. You'll start seeing, we're going to be sharing some news. The SIEDC, this is breaking news. Nobody's seen this outside of the SIEDC membership, but outside of RABS, we're going to have a photo spot, a Valentine's Day photo spot. If you're here around the building in the next couple of days, you'll see it start to take form, but you'll be able to come and take some great photos, community photo opportunities themed for Valentine's Day right outside. There's a little, I'm showing an image of what it's looking like via graphics. So cool stuff. Be on the lookout starting February 1st. But if you do visit, you'll see the structure outside on Delaware Avenue, outside the entrance in the patio area, coming to shape. So be on the lookout. So Mike Ruff just popped in. Mike, you met him last week when we were doing live from RABS pre-Battle of the Schools, which was an awesome day. Congratulations to the winners. Curtis High School was the champion, $1,000 going to the Curtis High School program. But yes, it's Monday night, I had mentioned to him about face masks, and he had I have the same one. My friend Melissa gave me the Old Navy Santa Claus mask. And I said, hey, do we keep these masks past Christmas? And I just don't know. The mask is cool. It fits great. It works well, but you have to retire a Santa mask. But do you keep it for next year? Because, you clean them, but what do you do? So he's saying Christmas masks should be retired on the Epiphany along with decorations, which I think is a day or so ago. And here goes, if my friend Liz Dehart is watching, Liz Dehart is a firm believer that we should start issuing fines for people who have Christmas decorations after January 6th, just because they wind up sitting up all year long. So we're just going to start writing violations to folks that have Christmas decorations or maybe still wearing their Christmas mask. But I don't want to keep my Christmas mask because I don't want to have to think we're going to be still wearing them by next December, which sadly I think we are. But hey, it is what it is. So good point there, Mike. Thanks again, Ryan's. Thanks for joining us. Hey, so last week we did what we're calling a watch and win. We're giving away a Storm Proton Physics bowling ball. You had the opportunity to fill out a survey, answer a quick question, and when you answered the question, you had to come up with the mystery word, which was shot, of course, bowling related. And with that, you also had to answer a trick question. The trick question certainly was, how many of these Storm staffers have appeared on the Live from Rab show? And the trick question, the answer was all of them. And there have been some others, but we're talking about Norm Duke, Jason Belmonte, Kelly Kulick, Wendy McPherson, some of these professional bowlers that joined us during this time, which was pretty cool. So we had about 50 entries into the contest. We narrowed it down. I believe there are 9 or 10 on this list. And so Ryan gave us a number of 1 to 6. I'm going to shuffle this 6 times based on that. I gave him an option, pick a number between 1 and 10. He picked 6. We'll try that again. So I'm going to shuffle this 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to spin this wheel, and the winner is going to receive this box, which has a photo of Norm Duke, which is an art print, some Storm gear, a T-shirt, some other stuff, plus a brand new bowling ball, which you'll be able to get in the pro shop. So here it goes. We just love spinning these wheels for all different things. Check it out. Tony Everts. Congratulations, Tony. You have won the Watch and Win raffle. Brand new bowling ball, just what you need. I'll leave this with Jimmy. You can come and see us, and Jimmy will have a brand new bowling ball for you when you are ready. Yeah, Hillary makes a good point in the comments here. Better to keep the masks and not need it, like carrying the umbrella and it's not raining. Certainly true. When you take the umbrella out of the car and you can't even carry it, you have no use to use it. That's true. I think I have my little collection of masks that I might keep for a little while, the Christmas masks, just because. So yeah, good point. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Naz, I missed you. I really did miss you today, Naz. This is not the same without having you here, but Norm was a good fill-in. Ryan was fantastic as our guest, and certainly we should just bring Ryan back as our co-host. I don't care what anybody else says, but congratulations to Anthony and on our Watch and Win contest winner. We're going to do more of those, so be on the lookout. We will be back here live from Rabs next Thursday, same time, lunchtime, 12 noon. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask, don't touch your face, be aware of your surroundings, and we're going to certainly pull through this together. But happy Thursday, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.